Hello everyone, and welcome to the final module of email marketing. And this time we're going to study about benchmarking your results and actually going to end the session. And I'm absolutely excited. So before we do this, as usually, let's recap what we've learned. So in our previous lesson, we learned the types of emails, right? That we have relational emails, promotional emails, transactional emails. We didn't obviously studied too much about transactional emails because it's just obvious, right? But we studied a lot about relational emails and promotional emails. We've also studied about the types of the subject lines, right? There are what kind of subject lines? We have scarcity type of a subject lines. We have proof of benefit, direct, stating the directs, right? So these type of subject lines. And then we also studied about the A/B testing, right? We said that A/B testing is really good to test various subject lines and see which one is performing well, right? So there's like 10-10-80 subject A/B testing. There's 50-50, which is really common. And then we also studied about email marketing tools. So those tools include like MailChimp, Constant Contact, Klaviyo, and we've also studied about how to craft subject lines. So I have wanted to tell you about, generally how email marketing works. And I know that you're really interested about this topic. And generally, in case you will apply to future positions, I've already told you that it's not, I don't want you to stress about, like the tools. I just want you to really learn how to create campaigns. I really want you to learn how to create compelling subject lines, create compelling body copies. This is really important in email marketing. And let's say you have an opportunity in future to apply for email marketing positions. All you have to say, right, to the interviewer is that the tools like MailChimp, the tools like Klaviyo, the tools like Constant Contact, and the rest that I have provided to you. You don't really have to say that you've used them before, but you can say that you know those tools, you know how to use those tools, because technically you do know, and I've showed you how it works. And as I said, that what really the interviewers, what really your clients will care about is the fact that you can create amazing campaigns. So this is what's really important, and that's why I don't want you to stress too much about the tools. And as I said, the tools are just a matter of knowing how to design, basically knowing how to just analyze, knowing how to like use it. And most of the time, all of these tools, they pretty much have more or less the same features, right? It's just like maybe different pricing plans, different options, and so on. So I hope we're clear on this one. So for today, we're going to study about benchmarking your results. So what benchmarking means, I'm going to describe about it later. We will also talk about how to be on top of our results, why every KPI is important, segmenting our list, the reasons your customers are not engaging, and what to do, and predictions for the evaluation of email marketing. So let's go with benchmarking your results. What does benchmarking mean anyways? So here's the thing, right? When you create email marketing and campaigns, you want to know what is a success for you, right? And how to measure the success. So let's say you know that you have great open rates, but how do you know that you have great open rates, right? So this is the thing, right? You can't set realistic goals without benchmarking your current results. So what does benchmarking means? I think this word looks very confusing. So benchmarking means evaluating something by comparison with a standard. So what really that means is that, let's say your open rates are 15%, right? Your open rates are 15%. So you have no idea, is this good or bad? And what can help you really to say whether it's a good or bad is the industry standards. So let's say you're working in the e-commerce, and let's say, is this a good and average open rate for the e-commerce standard or no? And every industry has its own standard. So I'm gonna talk about it later. There we are. So here's the thing. I've prepared this list of the industries. So we have advertising and marketing, agriculture, consumer packaged goods, education, financial service, various basically industries, right? Depending on what company you're working at, right? So it shows the average, like the average open rates, click-through rates, click-through open rates, and subscribe rates. Like, so these are the average. So let's say for nonprofit, it's the open rates should be around 26.6. So let's say you're working in a nonprofit, and let's say your open rates are around 15%. So you know that, okay, you know, the industry standard should be 26.6. So I need to improve my open rates to that extent, right? But then, for example, if you're working in, let's say, advertising and marketing, and then let's say your open rates are around 19.7, something like that, you will say, okay, actually this is not bad for our industry, right? We cannot have expectations of like 30 or 26 because this is not very common for our industry, right? Because that's how our industry works. So yeah, like you can just rely on the benchmarks basically. So that's one thing. But then another thing is, I want you to remember that industry standards always change. So I don't want you to just blindly look at the table that I have provided, because this is actually an old table, right? So industry standards always change. So I want you to always make a research. Probably, you know, you can just type in Google benchmark, email benchmarks 2023, right? Whatever year it is, I always want you to be on top of this and to see what are the industry standards for email marketing, right? And make sure to check the latest benchmarks by industry. So that's gonna give you an idea whether your campaigns are good or bad. And also one thing to let you know, for example, education industry, right? So as we can see that the open rate of the education industry education industry has the highest open rate. It's 28%, 28.5% click-through rates. Open rates are at 28.5%, and then the click-through rate is 4.4%. And this is actually a lot. Like, click-through rates 4.4% is actually really good. But here's the thing, right? You cannot compare, let's say, if you are doing e-commerce and then you have less than that, but then you see that education industry has more, then there's a reason behind it. Why? Because this makes sense. As school, so these are results from 2020, right? As schools needed to communicate with their students and parents more than ever for things like policies and COVID. So, you know, back then universities and schools, they used email marketing, you know, to send all these informations, maybe some newsletters. And so that made sense back then, right? For education industry to have such results, right? But it doesn't mean that, you know, let's say these same results are relevant for e-commerce industry or, like, you know, for any other, let's say, industry that you're working at, basically. So that's why you always need to look up what industry you're working at and also the latest benchmarks. So basically that's how it works. And now that we know about the benchmark, now we have this clear idea, right? Like, you can say, okay, so I'm seeing that I'm working, for example, in a marketing agency, and I know that these are the industry standards, these are the benchmarks, and I know I need to improve my results to this extent. But then the question is how to be on top of your results. This is something that we're going to going to study. So the first thing, right, there's several things. We need to increase email open rates, which is obvious. And these are some suggestions, right? So in order for us to increase email open rates, we need to personalize the subject line. Again, this is nothing new that we have learned. This is stating the obvious. We need to personalize the subject line. We need to do A/B testing with different variations of the subject line. We need to test the length, the tone, CTA, emoji, like, you know, something that we've already done. So we need to add an email pre-header and give people a compelling reason to open. So as I said, right, if you're creating email at, let's say, MailChimp, and they will give you an option for like subject line, and there will be the pre-header. So pre-header like quickly describes what are you going to talk about in the email. Like, it's just basically a quick like preview, basically, you know, for prospects. So you can, you know, add the pre-header so that people be interested to open. Definitely try different sender name variations. So you can probably try from, like, let's say, the company owner's name, you know, to make it more human, kind of, you know, like approachable type of a brand, and so on. And also send your email campaigns from different email address, right? So try to, you know, like not use an address that is probably cliche, or, you know, like try to use a different email address as well to just experiment whether it works. And definitely experiment with different sending times to work out the best time to send your email. So sometimes, you know, there are some rules, you know, the best times, but sometimes you never know. Like you could maybe try some other time to see whether your open rates can be improved because of that. And another suggestion for you to improve your results is to increase email click-through rates. So to do this, segment subscribers into smaller, more relevant groups. So that's what I have explained you last class, segmenting subscribers, right? Let's say you're running a jewelry brand and you have boys and girls. You don't want to send the same message to girls as you're sending to boys, right? You will create two different messaging. So you need to subscribe them. So if you want click-through rates, so people clicking and maybe at some point buying, you need to segment your subscribers, right, into more relevant groups. You need to improve the relevancy of your content. So for every segment, you need to create a relevant content, something that's going to resonate with them. You need to double check if the subject line reflects your email content. Obviously, if your subject line talks about something else and then the content talks about different thing, this is a really bad sign. Like, you know, it's not going to increase your click-through rate, and most likely even, you know, you're going to end up in a spam rate, and this is absolutely not professional to do so. And definitely design buttons and links so they're prominently displayed. So I told you the buttons, right, is something that you click. This is a CTA, right? Like, for example, shop now, enroll now, like these are the buttons. So make sure that the links are appropriate, you know, you don't put any wrong link, the design is good, like, you know, it is all prominently displayed. If it's not too small, or maybe, you know, the color is bad, people can barely see it. And then make the copy and CTA more engaging, as what we've studied, right? Try to use very simple words, very simple vocabulary. Don't try to show off your vocabulary. Honestly, nobody really minds about this. You just need to use really simple, approachable language. This is what everybody cares about right now. And also the CTA, try to get creative, but don't make it too long. That's one thing. And offer better incentives for people to click. You can, again, get creative, like, you know, by telling them what they're going to get if they click, or maybe there's going to be some surprise for them. Again, try to be really creative with your copywriting. Same, A/B test different email scripts to see what resonates with your audience. So you can not only A/B test subject lines, you can also A/B test body copy, right? So that's also one of the options. Give subscribers more things to click on. So, you know, aside from clicking maybe on like shopping something, you can add blog post links, surveys, quizzes, resource libraries, or anything else that is useful for them, something that's going to give them value. And definitely decrease unsubscribe and bounce rates. So how to make, so, you know, when people subscribe to our email list, they also can unsubscribe. Like sometimes I know that most of us, we receive some email, let's say, and then we just get annoyed of it, and there's like below there's a button to unsubscribe, right? So make sure that, you know, people still enjoy your content, still enjoy what you send to them, so they never unsubscribe. So to do this, use double opt-in for signups to grow a healthy list and improve deliverability. So it's basically, you know, try to make a healthy list. Basically, don't try to, like, you know, sometimes people can buy, like, you know, in Instagram you can buy followers. So it's also possible, you know, to create like basically buying lists on email. So try to avoid doing this. And also send your campaigns more frequently to build a relationship with readers and stick to regular schedule. So here's the thing. So more frequently, it doesn't mean too much, but it also doesn't mean too little. So try to find a balance, something that customers would want to receive, but also not too much. And also stick with the regular schedule. I know previously there was an advice for you to test different time sends, but it doesn't mean it's always like that, right? You need to find the right time, and that's it. And you need to stick to this regular schedule. Same with social media, right? You need to stick to one schedule. And then regularly clean your email list when with an email validation tool. So it means that, you know, you need to always revisit your emails and see the people who are never engaging, who are never opening your emails. And you can actually see it, you know, if you go to analytics, you can see how many people opened, and you can see which people opened, which emails have opened, and you can see which emails have never opened, right? And if you see that those people have never opened and they always probably delete your emails, you can remove them, you know, and I will actually talk about this later. Why is it important to remove them? Make your email content more relevant to your subscribers' interests and needs. This is stating the obvious, obviously. Make sure your subject line reflects the content in your email so you meet the reader's expectations. Same rule. Use re-engagement campaigns to win back inactive subscribers. So basically, we're going to talk about this in the next slides. So what is the re-engagement campaigns and how to win back inactive subscribers? So those subscribers who never open your emails, those subscribers who never click, how to win them back through re-engagement campaigns, and I will elaborate about this later. So another is do not end up in spam lists. So you know that most of the emails unfortunately end up in spam list, and I'm sure that you also see so many emails, and it's a really bad sign if your email ends up in spam list. So here are some of the tips for you to avoid that. So don't purchase email lists on the internet because you can get, you know, like really blacklisted with that. And same with Instagram, right? You cannot buy followers because the algorithms might really ban you. And then ensure that your email content is relevant and valuable to your subscribers. Avoid using excessive capital letters, symbols, or spammy language. So sometimes, you know, on the subject line, like we have to use emojis, but not too much and not too, like, you know, spammy type of subject line or like, you know, body copy. Like try to really still balance it. And always include an easy to find unsubscribe option. Honoring unsubscribe requests promptly builds trust. So here's the thing, right? It sounds strange, but you need to have an unsubscribe option. And this is actually by law. Like if you do not have an unsubscribe option, this is like basically very punishable, like in most of the places, especially in Europe, but like in most of the places it's punishable because it's people's rights. If they don't like you, they can unsubscribe from you. And again, something not to worry about, most of the email tools, they already automatically, you know, will be like a template of email and there will be an unsubscribe button anyways, but there should be basically. And maintain a consistent sending schedule. Abrupt changes in email volume can trigger spam filters. So as we said, don't abruptly change the schedule. If you have this one time, keep at it. Segment your list. That's what we talked about, segmenting, dividing them into different groups. Test before sending to check how your emails appear. So in those email marketing tools, either MailChimp, Constant Contact, Klaviyo, ActiveCampaign, before hitting send or before scheduling, you can actually test it. So you can, let's say you can even send it to your own email. So you can put your own email and you can click test and it's going to send it to your email and you can see how it's going to look like, you know, so you can see maybe some format is not good, some text doesn't look appropriate. It's like, you know, you can definitely like edit it. And that's what I like to do. I always send it to my own email and I see how I like it. And sometimes, you know, when I would work with my manager, I would also include her email so that she could also see and maybe suggest some options for my copywriting, like, you know, so that's what you could do. And then mix text images in your email. So you need to mix the text and images. If you only use images, unfortunately, you can be flagged as a spam. So try to like mix them. Don't make it too imagey. And avoid sending attachments whenever possible. So don't send attachments. Usually attachments is a sign that it's a spam. So instead you can provide the links, downloadable type of links. It's more safe. And then ensure your IP address isn't on blacklist. Definitely check this on internet that, you know, your IP address is like clean and there is no problem with that. Definitely have a responsive design, like something easy to read, something nice for eyes. And regularly update your list. That's what we've already talked about, right? And test with spam checkers tool. So you can also actually copy your email and actually you know, go to these tools. I've provided the links later on when you have access to this presentation. You can basically just input the link of your email and see whether this email of you is spammy, if it's going to end up in a spam, and how not to end up in a spam, basically. So that's what I also always do. to ensure that my email is not going to end up in a spam box. Okay, so now we've talked about these. Let's get back to KPIs. I know that in our first lesson at the end, we briefly talked about KPIs. I've explained to you what are those, like what open rates mean, what click-through rates means, and etc. And today, it's really important for us to know why are they important. So we know that the KPIs are open rates, click-through rates, click-to-open rates, unsubscribe rates, and spam rates. So why open rates are important? Open rates are important because they help you gauge your least interest in your email, so you can see who are interested in your email. They also help you diagnose lead quality and help determine whether or not you're wasting your money on acquisition. So leads, so usually lead is a vocabulary used in B2B marketing. So it basically means the people who are interested in your products, they haven't bought yet, but they're just like, looking around, so you can, the open rate, if you have high open rates, it makes you understand whether you have a good quality leads. Basically, if you have small open rates, probably, your list is not interested. Maybe this is a low quality. They're not interested in your product in the first place. They also help you diagnose whether or not your subject lines are getting your leads' interest. Again, the same thing. They help you diagnose other problems like inboxing and deliverability. So you can, check whether, your email is actually getting delivered or not. And why click-to-open rates are important. So they help you gauge the quality of your email copy. That's what we talked about, right? So for people to actually click to open, you need to have a really great email copy. They help you diagnose lead quality, same thing. And they inform email creative. How creative is your email? Why click-to-open rates are important? So it's same thing, right? The quality of your email copy, the lead quality, they help you diagnose like inboxing and deliverability, and also they help you avoid being blacklisted from internet service providers, right? So some ICPs, they can have a chance to blacklist you, but your click-to-open rates can determine whether, you don't have a chance to end up in internet service providers in a blacklist. Okay. So yeah, now that we studied about these things, we kind of went through them. I want us to know about segmenting lists. So here's the thing, right? I've already explained to you what segmenting lists. I gave you example of a jewelry, right? So if, let's say, there's a boys and girls, you need to separate them and send them different email copy. So let's recap, obviously. So basically, segmentation means division of email subscribers into smaller segments based on set criteria. And typically, segmentation is used as a personalization tactic to deliver more relevant email marketing to subscribers based on either their geographic location, interest, purchase history, and much more. We're going to talk about it later. Segments are created so that the marketers can cater specifically to each different email list and that lists independent interests rather than creating one mass message for all. So you cannot just send one mass message for everyone, but if you could have small different segments, you can tailor it and optimize it for each of them. So why segmenting is important? You want your emails to be personalized, both from a messaging and offer standpoint. You don't want to bother your main list with things they don't want. You don't want to bother boys who are not, who don't need an empowerment of, hey girl, you deserve this jewelry after the payday. We girls deserve it. Like, they don't want to, this is not relevant to them. Same for girls. You cannot send, hey, your girlfriend's gonna be happy about this present. Did you know that girls tend to be happier when the boyfriends give them jewelry presents, right? Like you cannot bother girls with such messages, right? And also you want to increase customer value, obviously customer value. So you need to give the value to boys, you need to give the value to boys, you need to give value to girls, right? This is just a simple example. So I would like to give you some ideas for all these segmentations. I'm mostly talking about boys and girls, but then there are different segmentations, and it all depends on your very specific, I would say, industry on your business. And I just want you to know that these are some ideas, but it doesn't mean that this is a set in stone situation, right? Because maybe for your business, it could be something else. So for example, some of the ideas of segmentations, you can segment your list according to the past purchase history. So what did they purchase from your e-commerce store before? Abandoned shopping carts, like those people who just abandon your shopping cart. Geolocations, gender, as I said, boys and girls, content interest. So the people who are interested maybe in your relational emails, a stage of the sales funnel. Maybe this person is at the what stage of, maybe they are at the ascent stage, right? They've already bought one product, but you want them to buy more products. So you want to put them maybe in a different list. And actually in this email marketing tools, you can do this, you can go to the list section and then you can just, choose those emails and just create one group and just write like, I don't know, boys, or you can just write ascent funnel, something like that. And then engagements such as open or click-through rates, you can also create a separate list for those who always engage, like, always open your emails, always click-through rates. According to occupation, according to educational level, marital status, information collected through surveys, time zones, and inactivity. Again, it's all up to you. Or there's another idea, engagement frequency, purchase frequency, and interest. So for example, so why segment by engagement frequency? It tells internet service providers that you're sending relevant emails. The more engagement you're getting with highly engaged audiences, the more likely ICPs are to place your emails favorably. So, you can see whoever frequently, engages with you, it gives you a chance to provide more value and get more value. And it helps you to gauge your email list, health list. Why segment by purchase frequency? Because it helps you identify who is willing to part with their money in exchange for your products and services. So you can also see those people who have purchased, let's say ascent stage, right? Or those who are maybe in a purchase stage. There's a purchase stage as well. So you want, you already know that this email list, they've already paid something. So you want to keep them maybe in this loop to engage with them in a different manner, right? And great for identifying who you should send engagement and accession campaigns to. So that's what I told you about, right? Like maybe those customers who've already purchased from you, you need to remind them, right? You need to engage with them and be like, oh, like the bag that you've bought, did you know that Taylor Swift recently, she's also wearing this bag, something like that, like engaging with them. Or did you know that this bag that you bought is made from the best, I don't know, from the best leather in the world, like how lucky you are that you got this bag, like, you're basically engagement or ascension campaigns that, by the way, the bag that you bought, we're actually coming out with a new collection that's going to even have better features, like, like this is for you to also basically to segment people who've already purchased once and just talk to them very specifically. And it can be really powerful for them to actually become repeated customers of yours. And then we can also segment by interest. So it basically helps you gauge your list interest in different topics and get people to raise their hands for engagement campaigns. So these people who haven't purchased yet, but they're just interested. So, you can warm them up more, like, send more engagement campaigns about, like, building their awareness about this product, basically. Okay. So in case, right, now that you know all of these steps, the KPIs, you have a dilemma. Let's say you're seeing that your customers are not engaging. And by engaging, I mean they are not opening, they are not clicking through, right? So this means they're not engaging. So what can you do? What is the reason that they're not engaging? So there could be several reasons. So the reasons are that they don't recognize the brand. So probably, right, let's say they have subscribed to your email list. Maybe they came across your email list on the website. They just were a bit curious, but they don't know much, right, about your brand yet. maybe they're not engaging because the email frequency. Maybe you're either sending too much or you're sending too little, basically. Maybe they're not engaging because of the lack of the content. Maybe your emails are too promotional and you don't send some valuable content to them. Or maybe your content is not valuable at all. Maybe you have a content, but it's not valuable. Or maybe it's not enough, basically. You're sending boring and repetitive content, something, again, as I said, no value, it's boring, it doesn't really talk to them directly. They're not engaging because they have abandoned email address. So, maybe these addresses are not active. Like, maybe they're not using their email addresses anyways. They're not engaged maybe because they have inbox crowding. Maybe, they just don't check their emails anyways. They just have too many inboxes. And then they are probably not engaging because they're no longer interested in your brand, so these might be the reasons. And for each of those reasons, there's a solution, right? How can we make them engaged? We can make them engaged through re-engagement campaigns. So what are re-engagement campaigns? In case you're seeing that you have this dilemma, right? You're saying, okay, let's say 60% of my list, they are engaging, but then 40% is not engaging. I really want to try to make this 40% engaged, right? How can I do it? And wow, you have an idea. The idea is to create a re-engagement campaign. So re-engagement campaign is a triggered campaign sent to unengaged subscribers to add value and rebuild the relationship. So how can you do that? So re-engagement campaigns is also like a list hygiene. You're taking the time to figure out which names you should remove from your list. As I said, right, you have 60% who are engaging, 40% who are not engaging. So now you're like, okay, I'm gonna send a re-engagement campaign to this 40%, right? And let's say if I create an amazing re-engagement campaign and I get them and I win them back, right? Let's say you're winning, let's say 80%, like, so 20% of the 40%. And no matter what you've tried with these 20%, you know that they're either not interested in your brand or they're either not using the email. So it means that you don't need them. You need to remove them from your email list. And you can do this, right? So you can just remove them because this way your list is going to be clean. This way your numbers are going to be better and internet service providers are going to favor you more, right? Like when we talk about social media, we talk about algorithms, right? Like you need to do this to have better like chances for algorithms. So for email, it also works the same, right? You need to remove the people that are bringing your list hygiene down, and you need to, like, the more you remove these people who are not engaging, right, no matter what you've tried, the more chances that your emails are never going to be end up in the spam rate. That's one of the actual reasons as well. So what are those re-engagement campaigns? So these are some ideas. You can call out inactive subscribers. So basically just be bold and call them out. Let's say 40%, you can just send one email to those 40% and be like, we've seen that you're not active. Like, is there anything bothering you? I mean, no, this is just a joke, but just like call them out. Be like, what's happening? Like, are you here? Like, just try to be creative about it and just remind them. And, you can just put some catchy subject line and that and as well. And then, you see whether they're engaging when they're opening or not. So it will already give you some idea. You can restate the benefits. You can remind them what kind of benefits are they getting from being subscribed, like what kind of benefits, either, valuable content. You can restate the benefits of your brand, like what kind of amazing things you've got. Show them your best of, maybe your products, maybe show them the best of, the content, the value that you provide. Bounce them around, right? Try to, like, try different campaigns, try like this and this, just to see, like, bouncing them, kind of making them active a little bit. And also open a loop. So open a loop is my favorite. Is basically sending them a campaign, sometimes using some provocative subject line, and starting a story, but then not finishing it, and they're like, how to say, they're intrigued, but then the there's no continuation, and be like, oh, the next part is going to be like, so this is a way for you to gain their attention by opening the loop, and definitely start a conversation, be like, maybe there's something that you don't like, maybe here's a feedback, like, you can put the link. And definitely another great idea is just offer to unsubscribe. Is none of these things working and they're still not opening, just send them an email and be like, we're seeing that you're not active, like, here's an offer for you to unsubscribe, and again, if they sometimes, when they receive such emails, they will not unsubscribe, but sometimes they will be like, yeah, unsubscribe. And this is the best thing that your list can have, because again, you want to maintain a list hygiene for the better quality of your email, for your emails not to end up in a spam list. Basically, yes, that's how it works. And now that we've talked about all of these things, right? We've learned about the types of the emails, the KPIs, and how to engage with your subscribers, how to use AI. It's already, almost the end of this class. So I want us to talk a little bit about the predictions and insights for the evolution of email marketing. So what are the predictions and how, as marketers, we need to adjust to that? Let's go. So these are the predictions. So obviously there's going to be AI. So this is going to give you a chance to embrace it, to analyze customer behavior, making emails more relevant. It will boost open rates and click-through rates. AI can also help you to personalize content and suggest the best times to send emails. So basically you can ask AI any question you want. Maybe you can say, my customers are based in the US. What is the best time to send in the US, right? You can also ask AI to give the feedback on your copy, like you can just give a brief basically to AI and be like, okay, I need 10 subject lines for your engagement campaigns. Like, it will give you some ideas, and you can tell, I want you to use easy language. I don't want you to use complicated language, and so on. Increased automation. So it means there will be more tasks like sending welcome emails or follow-ups will be automated, saving time and improving efficiency. So you will not have to do it manually anymore. And hyper personalizations. So emails will feel like they're made just for you, with content tailored to your interest and behavior. So that's an amazing news for marketers. And obviously omni-channel marketing. Omni-channel means like several channels. So you'll see consistent messages across email, social media, website, making your brand experience seamless. So I remember when we had this webinar, somebody asked me, if we have social media and we also have email marketing, do we need to talk about the same things? And my answer is, of course. The general idea of you running a business, let's say, or a brand running a business, is for them to be famous everywhere, right? Famous and in any channel possible. You want to be on social media, you want to be on email, you want to be on Google, right? So, and if you have the same campaigns, you need to announce it on social media, and also you need to announce it in email. It all needs to be aligned. So that's why marketing is a big department of social media managers, of email marketers, of Facebook ads, of SEO, and they all need to align. They all need to, okay, so today we have, let's say, a new collection launch. So how are we going to announce? So email marketing will do their job in announcing and about new collection, maybe through different campaigns. Social media will do its job. Paid ads will do its job. So everyone's goal is to make this product as famous as possible through different channels, and to have more customers, to establish connection with customers, to make customers buy. It's all the same goal basically for all marketing channels. So that's why you will see more across email, social media, and website. Privacy and security. So be ready for stricter rules on data protection. It's a chance to build trust by showing customers you value their privacy. So this is the thing about, I think Europe especially, they're getting a bit strict with the privacy and security. So it means, not everyone's information can be really accessed, so there needs to be permissions. For example, do you notice if you sometimes go to the websites and they ask you about the cookies, like you need to accept cookies, right? So the reason there's cookies on the website is actually a way to get your personal data. It's a way for marketers to get your information for future maybe outreach campaigns. But then, you know, some like countries right now are strict about it, and sometimes you can actually deny the cookies. So you're like, I don't want to give my information, right? So you need to like demonstrate that, you know, like with your customers as well, that you actually trust them, you know, like that they can trust you, that you're very mindful of their personal data. And another prediction is the dark mode. I'm sure most of us are already using dark mode. Make sure your emails are readable in dark mode. Neglecting this could mean losing customers who prefer it. Most of us are in a dark mode right now. So when you're designing your email, also make sure how it looks in a dark mode, right? It might be amazing in a white mode, but horrible in the dark mode. So you need to make sure of that. And obviously use user-generated content. User-generated content is the content that is generated by customers, right? Like you can use it and it has so much more effect. So companies will feature more content from their customers in emails like reviews and stories. Like these kind of emails definitely will gonna get you a lot of open click-through rates because this is more authentic. And mobile-friendly emails. Most people check emails on their phones. Ensure your emails are mobile-friendly for better user experience and higher conversion rates, right? As I told you, in the tools, in marketing tools, you can actually check, preview how it looks like in a desktop, how it looks like in the mobile. So definitely ensure that the format is consistent everywhere. And yeah, this is it. This is the end of it. And are we ready for the task? So the task, I want you to already start the action. So what's the action? I want you to search for an email marketing role. I know most of you are interested about the subject and most of you maybe want to work in this direction. So why not now? So I want you to find any email marketing role that you like. It can be on LinkedIn, Upwork, anywhere, right? Just choose one because, you know, I don't want you to have your focus all over the place. Just choose one, but it needs to be really one that you are really passionate about, that you're really interested about, the brand that really resonates with you. My suggestion is go for a part-time role because this is more chances for you to actually get hired. Because it's a full-time job, it will be a bit more difficult selection, but part-time roles are a bit easier to get to. So research their brand and prepare a strategy for their email marketing that you will prepare for them, right? So what are your ideas? If it's e-commerce maybe, or maybe it's B2B, whatever, like how will you engage with what kind of campaigns you have in mind? Will you use relational emails or promotional emails? Maybe both. And yeah, you can just like in one paragraph just state your ideas. And then I want you to prepare one email campaign with the subject line, body, copy, and CTA. You can include images as well, right? So you can create it on Canva for that brand. Make sure to find their logo, you know, make sure to, you know, put it all in Canva if you want to. And you can just create one subject line. Either you want to use scarcity for promotional or relational, up to you. So this way, you know, I can, you know, give you my input, whether, you know, you're in the right direction. And this will also give you an access to submit to this job, right? And I will give you my feedback, you know, I will tell you how to improve it and you can send it. And it's also a great way for you to apply for further jobs, right? Because most of the employees, they want to see your proactiveness, how much you care and how much you can, you know, show that you're interested in. So this would be one of the ways. Make sure that you submit the links in the accessible Google link so that I can access, so that I have an access to it, and where I can edit and I can comment. So you can make it like, you know, accessible for everyone and everyone can edit and comment. So I will leave my input there. And yeah, you can apply to those roles after applying my feedback, and generally you will have a direction of, you know, further positions that you'll apply to. Yes, basically this is it. Thank you so much. It was a lovely 4 modules that I had with you, and I'm looking forward for you to become the experts, the email marketers that you've always wanted to be. Thank you and goodbye.